Let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Mang Liaoming. Homage to Master Sakya Tsongkhong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Tupten Tarji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. And homage to the main deity of the good practice today, the greatly loving and compassionate Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, Sumu, Tanchen Gyatso, Tupten Siddhi, Tupten Karma, all Dharma masters, Dharma lecturers, Dharma teachers, Dharma instructors, Dharma tutors, temple and center directors, and all disciples present here and over the internet. Good evening. How do you do?
Hola amigo. Que quiero mucho. Skoin. Ichiwa. Kimochi ii. Yumi. Yapi. Purin purin. Konbanwa.
Let's do the Q&A first. A question from Indonesia by Lianhua Zhenfu. Some relatives believe that during the Qingming festival, descendants who do not visit ancestral graves, columbarium, or the seashore are considered unfilial. Although I always dedicate the merit and register ancestors for bardo ceremonies, do we need to visit the ancestors' graves, columbarium, or the seashore to be considered filial? That's his first question. Second question, after a person passes away, if they are buried at sea or for other reasons do not have a tablet enshrined at the Siddhigarbha hall or at home, or no memorial tablet anywhere, will this negatively affect the deceased soul? That's the second question. I find the first question like the Qingming festival or tomb sweeping festival. We would visit graves or columbarium. If we don't go, that's unfilial. That's difficult to say. Whether you're filial filial piety should be done when they're still alive. But if you don't perform filial piety while they're alive, but after they pass away, you always pray to them, that's also not right. So this is all depending on the mind, whether you're filial or not, you know. There's no need to ask me. Like for ancestors, like my own ancestors, my great-grandfather, that's all I know. Then above him, I don't know their name. So does it mean I'm unfilial? No, because nobody told me. I only know my great-grandfather's name, Lu Tze, and he's in Fanyang, Fujian province, China. And the Fanyang, Fujian, is from Fanyang, Hebei province. So he's from Fanyang, Fujian to Penghu, Fanyang in Penghu. And there is a Lu clan ancestral home that was built by my cousin in Penghu Island called Saisu. So now you can just cross the bridge from the Taiwan Island. So the Lu ancestral's home was built by my elder cousin Lu Caohong. So Lu Tze, and then to my grandfather Lu Chang, and my father Lu Sun, and then after that myself. So my father, he is memorial tablet is placed at the columbarium at the Taiwan temple, and my mother is at the columbarium at the Rainbow Temple. So for Qingming Festival, going to Rainbow Temple is closer, and then do I have to fly back to Taiwan? You cannot go to both. Respect toward ancestors comes from our own heart or mind. At my tantric quarters, I enshrine my ancestors' tablet, but not at the South Mountain Retreat, the Nansan, but only at the Tribhuda tantric quarters. So we have our respect in our heart and mind toward our father and mother. In my Dharma teaching, sometimes I mention my mother, and sometimes I would be very touched and cried, shed tears, especially when I sing in the beautiful, beautiful sky. There appear the sparkling bright little stars. They look like the eyes of my loving mother. My mother's eyes I love most. who often teaches me to be a good child. I love my mother's eyes the most. So singing this song, when you touch your own heart, then you would shed tears. Sometimes halfway through the song, you're choked up because you're nostalgic. But when I sing that song about Dad, I never cried. Because I've been beaten up by my dad ever since a kid until adult. But till now, I would still say, without my father, there would not be me. Without a father, there would not be you. If there is no support, financial support from the father, you will not grow up. Although he didn't think that I was his child, when my dad passed away, in his will he wrote the 4 sisters, so his inheritance was divided into 5 parts. 4 parts to my 4 sisters and 1 part to his caretaker, Xiao Zhang. But as for myself, Sun Yan Lu is in America and he has money, no need, nothing for him. My mother's inheritance, I give up my portion to my younger sisters. I signed a release of inheritance. But my father regarded me because when he married my mother, 7 months later I was born, so that was prematurely. My mother said that was a premature birth, but my father did not buy that. And he was enraged and went to see my mother's mother and fought with her, argued with her, and finally she died out of anger. When I was born, he did not want me, the baby, and give me to the maternal grandmother. And after she passed away, my mother asked her sister to take care of me. Her name is Huang Xiehua, the mother of Xi Xinghui. And then, when my aunt was about to get married, she told my mother, I can't go getting married, carrying your child, so I was returned home. Then the suffering started. Until I was 19, when I left home to study in the military school. Finally, I spread my wings and fly on my own. That's my life. So toward my ancestors, I have respect in my heart mind. Toward my father too, I respect him. Why? Because without him, there would not be you. How did you grow up? You ate food provided by him. No matter what, when I was in junior and senior high school, I work outside. And without his support, I would not be able to do it. So I'm nostalgic to Hualien because summer and winter vacation, I always went to Hualien at the factory, meter factory, because my uncle, my aunt's husband, is a director. And then in the repair shop too. I work in the repair shop. And I also work at the Kaohsiung Power Company. That's because of my father. Because he's also a leader in the Kaohsiung Power Company. So I work at the Southern Power Company. So I could work because of my father and my uncle. So I'm still grateful to them no matter what. You have to be thankful. Whether they treat you nicely or not, they are your senior. So it's good enough if you have respect in your heart or mind. You don't have to show lighting incense, making dumplings, and going to the graveyards. Nowadays, the youngsters don't do it either. Say Fo Qi and Fo Qing. They obey their parents, so that's filial piety. But the next generation, such as Lu Hong, Lu Jun, and the 2-year-old Alice, Lu Yin, I think it will be impossible to expect them to set up the memorial tablets. They live in America. That's not common here. It's good enough that they come and see the grandpa, grandma. So it's all in the heart and in the mind. Whether you have filial piety or not, you ask yourself. It's not on the external actions, external deeds. You think that they would see you give them flowers or food. They have been reincarnated to who you don't even know where. So it's good enough that you help them to be able to deliver. That's filial piety already. Otherwise, in the West, they have moved to faraway places. How could you rush there and here? And of course, there's some that are truly filial. And most Westerners, they just put the flower at the graveyard. And the Westerners would say, what's going on with Chinese? With all these bowls of food, dumplings, and place it at the tomb. Would they actually come out and eat? So the same, we can joke about them too. You think that they could see the flower that you bring? to the tombstone, to the tomb. So everything is in the mind. Everything is created by the mind. And Buddhism states that everything is created by the mind. Are you filial in your heart mind? You would know yourself. Why are you asking me? No need. So other people talk. That's because that their mouths belong to them. But in your heart mind, if you're respectful toward your ancestors, that would be good. Doesn't matter what others say, because the mouths belong to them. So after a person passes away and they are cremated in the sea, or they have no memorial tablet anywhere, not at home, not at the columbarium, not anywhere, will that bring negative consequences? Not at all. Whether you have the tablet or not, it's nothing. No big deal. After a person dies, in Buddhism, we often say after 49 days they need to be reincarnated. So the tablet has no benefits to them at all. But whether you set up a memorial tablet or not, that's your own intent. You can place the tablet inside your heart mind. Then you have set it up. If you often think of them, then that's the same as setting up the memorial tablet. Right? That should be how it is. Will it bring negative consequences? Their own souls have karma. When they have karma, of course they would be incarnated according to their karma. If they have good karma, they can go to heavens. If they have bad karma, they would be reincarnated in the 6 or the lower 5 realms or the lower 3 realms. And if they're Buddhists, then they can attain Buddhahood, Bodhisattvahood, Dharma protectorhood, Herukas, or the heavenly realms. That's issues about ancestors. So, ancestors are ancestors, but karma has to be burdened by the individuals. So that's why we say that the man practices and gains the merits from his own practice, and the woman gains merits from her own practice. It's all individualistic. Can you understand like this? Issues about ancestors, like I only know my great-grandfather. I don't even know the great-grandmother. Of course I know. Of course she has a name, but I have to check. And also my grandmother, I know. And at the Rainbow Temple, I have the names of grandfather, grandmother, my mother, and my younger brother. So, all 4 at the Twin Lotus Columbarium at the Rainbow Temple. Next, that would be me. Very soon, I would be set up there too. and also Simu too.
那小孩子看不看，那是另外一回事。
And whether the children come to visit us, it doesn't matter. As long as they have us in their hearts, that would be excellent already. But if you set up something elaborate and beautiful, there's no use. Now let's share a joke. In history class, the teacher asked the students, which one would you choose, the country or the beautiful lady? Xiaoming said, the country. Why? Because if you have the country, you have beauties. But if you have beauty, then the beauty might run away with someone that has the whole world. And the teacher said, Xiaoming, you're very, very smart. So the world and a beautiful lady, which one would you choose? Of course, the world. A lady told another lady, I make my husband to be a billionaire or millionaire. And the woman, the friend said, wow, that's great help. What did he do before? And then she said, oh, he was a billionaire. Now and then I made him into a millionaire. Without breakfast, I rushed to the office, and a female co-worker was very kind and gave me a box of Ili-chun milk. Do you know what kind of milk that is? And he drank it in one go and felt really warm. And then after work, the beautiful lady checked on him. Are you all okay? Nothing, yeah, I'm fine. And she sighed relief and said, now I know that an expired milk doesn't cause diarrhea. Oh, she's kind-hearted. There's an Indian patient who got an X-ray and showed there's a gun on the chest. Someone asked me to name him, and I gave a name, Luo Qiang. Someone with the family name Luo. And replied to my letter and said, I don't want that name. Because in Taiwanese there is a little term, and the little Qiang means cockroach. So that would sound like a cockroach. So the Indian doctor asked her to get the surgery to get it out. So this patient went to Singapore, ready to get the surgery, and got another X-ray and said, "Oh, there is no cockroach inside your chest, but it's inside the X-ray machine of your country." Now we'll talk about Vimalakirti Sutra, Chapter 10. The Buddha of accumulated fragrances. Then Vimalakirti asked the assembled bodhisattvas, "Venerable ones, who among you can fetch us meals from that Buddha?" Since Manjushri is well known for his supernatural power, they all remained silent. Vimalakirti continued, "Benevolent ones, what a shame this assembly is." Then Manjushri spoke and said, "As the Buddha has said, do not undermine the learned ones, the unlearned ones, those who are unlearned." At this, Vimalakirti, without rising from his seat, manifested a bodhisattva in front of the assembly. The bodhisattva's appearance was magnificent, radiant with light and majestic virtues, surpassing all in the assembly. Okay, let me just cover this passage. So at that time, the lay Buddhist Vimalakirti asked all the bodhisattvas, "Of all of you, who among you can go to the Buddhaverse to fetch meals for all of us?" To the Buddhaverse called accumulation of fragrances, and get some meals for everyone. Since Manjushri is well known for his supernatural power, majestic transcendent power, he was the one that brought everyone, but he did not say anything. So the arhats below him and all the heavenly beings don't dare to say anything. Everyone was silent. So Vimalakirti continued, "Benevolent ones, what a shame. Hey, none of you is able to go to the Buddhaverse of accumulation of fragrances to ask for meals for everybody." And then Manjushri replied, "Sakyamuni Buddha believes that all sentient beings are equal. Whether you're arhats or bodhisattvas or just the general devas, devis, everyone's Buddha nature is equal. Nobody, Sakyamuni Buddha never looked down or undermine on anybody. So you cannot say that. Like you undermine the bodhisattvas at the initial stage or arhats. You should not look down on them." Manjushri Bodhisattva said, "So you cannot look down on anyone, bodhisattvas at the initial stage, arhats, or the novice Buddhists." So at this time, Vimalakirti did not leave his seat bed. As we all know, there were no one attending to Vimalakirti. Only Manjushri Bodhisattva and the assembly he brought with him. So Vimalakirti, without rising, but he himself manifested a manifested bodhisattva. So Vimalakirti has great transcendent power. So Vimalakirti is still Vimalakirti, but he manifested a bodhisattva. And this bodhisattva's appearance was magnificent. Among all the bodhisattvas, this manifested bodhisattva has the brightest radiance. That's the meaning of this part. He asks the bodhisattva to go to the upper realms, traversing Buddha verses as numerous as the grains of sand of 42 Ganges rivers. There is a Buddha verse called omnipresent fragrances, and a Buddha named accumulated fragrances, who was presently dining with all the bodhisattvas. So Vimalakirti told his own manifestation, bodhisattva, go to the upper realms, to the Buddha verse of accumulation of fragrances. Passing Buddha verses as numerous as grains of sand of 42 Ganges rivers. The sands of one Ganges river is already countless more, let alone 42 Ganges rivers. Just imagine how far that is. But doesn't matter how far it is, it's just a matter of one thought. It's just within the one thought. So the question earlier, filial piety toward your ancestors, is just in that one thought. If you have that thought that you're respectful toward your ancestors, then you have filial piety. It's all in that mind. With one thought, you can traverse Buddha verses as numerous as grains of sand of 42 Ganges rivers, and you can arrive there instantly. Like the speed of sound, or space shuttles would take a long time before it can traverse the stratospheres to go to the great cosmos, and then you might not be able to come back because the space shuttles are broken. So you see there, two spacemen were only going for 2 days and they could not come back. Now they had to stay there for 8 months, waiting for the shuttles to be fixed. But the Buddhists can arrive there in one thought. And there is a Buddha verse there, or a world there, called Omni Fragrances, Pure Land, and a Buddha named Accumulated Fragrances. And this Buddha presently is dining with all the bodhisattvas. And who made those meals? They are called the ornament of fragrance celestial princess. The other day, that Vietnamese disciple.
她叫什么名字？
What's her name? Yunling. Yunling.
莲花印灵，莲花印灵，她是那个
莲花印灵。
华州镇低溪登宝雷让寺。
This is from the Tripura School Maryland Temple near Washington D.C. And she said, she's the one that gave me the bento box. So she must be from that, from the place of that ornament of fragrance, celestial prince. Because Buddhas and Bodhisattvas don't make their own meals, but the ones who serve them are called the ornament of fragrance, celestial princes. So Vimalakirti told the Bodhisattva, after you go there, say what I will say here. Tell the Buddha of accumulated fragrance. Vimalakirti, with the greatest reverence, bows his head to the feet of the world-honored one, and with innumerable respect sends his regards for your well-being, having peace of mind and free from ailments and discomforts. He wishes to obtain some leftovers from the world-honored one's meal as a present to the Buddha work in the Saha world, to facilitate followers of the small vehicle to obtain and spread the great path. So, to go there, to bow and send regards to them about their well-being, healthy, free from problems and discomfort. And he wishes to obtain some leftovers of the Buddha of accumulated fragrances and bodhisattvas, so that I can bring them back to the Saha world to do Buddha work, to offer to the bodhisattvas there. To facilitate followers of the small Dharma vehicle, like arhats, bodhisattvas in samsara, can spread Buddha Dharma. So this is pretty straightforward, you can understand. And then, in the effort to widely disseminate the name of the Tathagata, so that everyone in the Saha world can hear the name of Sakyamuni Buddha, and also let everyone to hear the name of the Buddha of accumulated fragrances and the Buddha verse of accumulated fragrances. So at that moment, the manifested Bodhisattva rose up before the assembly and immediately disappeared, merges with the sky, and swiftly arrived to the Buddha verse of omni fragrances. And all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the Saha world saw him go to the Buddhaverse of omni fragrances and bow at the feet of the Buddha of accumulated fragrances, as if you're watching a TV. Immediately, you see that from the Saha world, he arrived at the Buddhaverse of omni fragrances. So all the Bodhisattvas and Arhats saw that as if they are watching television. So let me repeat. And they heard this manifested Bodhisattva say, Vimalakirti, with the greatest reverence, bows his head to the feet of the Buddha of accumulated fragrances, and with innumerable respect sends his regards for your well-being, having peace of mind, free from ailments and discomforts. So that's just polite greetings. Wishes to obtain some leftovers of the world-honored one's meal as a present to the Buddha work in the Saha world, saying the same words here, to facilitate followers of the small Dharma vehicle to obtain and spread the great path in an effort to disseminate the name of the Tathagata. And so at the Buddhaverse of omni fragrances, there were many bodhisattvas, and they saw how come there's a bodhisattva coming here who spoke these words. That's very rare. And they wanted to get some of those boxes, meal boxes, and they exclaimed, this never happened before, to the calm of the Buddhaverse of omni fragrances asking for meals. And there's a bodhisattva coming from samsara asking for one. So all those bodhisattvas there said this has never happened before. So where did this manifested bodhisattva, where did this come from, and where is the Saha world? Why did he call himself that he delight in the small Dharma? Why did he say that? And so they asked the Buddha of accumulated fragrances. That's this passage. This is pretty easy, right? You can understand. Then I would talk more about it. What time is it now? It's 10, almost. So the Buddha said, below, passing Buddha verses as numerous as grains of sand of 42 Ganges rivers, there is a world called the Saha world. At that time, there was a Buddha living called Sakyamuni Buddha. This was spoken by the Buddha of accumulated fragrances. And it's in the 5-turbid world. So Sakyamuni Buddha is in the Saha world. It's very evil and turbid with 5 contaminants. Evil world. It's a really bad place. But for the sake of those who are learning Buddha Dharma, teach and speak Buddha Dharma and teach them Buddha Dharma in the Saha world. So the Saha world is really not good. But Sakyamuni Buddha there is there to teach them the Buddhist path. So this is please don't mistake this. This is not talking about Taoism. And at that place there is a bodhisattva called Vimalakirti. And is already liberated and giving teaching to all bodhisattvas. This bodhisattva is incredible. So over there is also a bodhisattva called Vimalakirti, who's in the past was the Jinsu Tathagata and has attained the inconceivable liberation. And he is speaking Buddha Dharma to all the bodhisattvas now. So that's why he manifested a bodhisattva to come. He manifested into a manifested bodhisattva to come here to praise us. And the Buddha verse. And he called upon my name and also requested all the bodhisattvas to bestow meals so that for the bodhisattvas in the Saha world to increase their merits. So all the bodhisattvas ask, so the Buddha so he praised Vimalakirti that in his past he was the Jinsu Tathagata and now he's from the Akshoba Buddha of the East. In the Saha world, there is a Buddha verse or Pure Land called Abhirati, the marvelous joy. So Vimalakirti, to help of Sakyamuni Buddha, appeared in the Saha world. So he's to help Sakyamuni Buddha. And his transcendent power, his merits, his transcendent travel can go to all the Pure Lands and Buddha verses. So the Buddha of cumulative fragrances said that he has great transcendent power and he's continually helping all sentient beings, and he's helping Sakyamuni Buddha and all the sentient beings.
再来是一世香积如来，就是众香净土的香积如来。
So the Tathagata of accumulated fragrances give all the fragrant alms bowls filled with the fragrant rice and give it to this manifested bodhisattva. And then at this time, the 9 million bodhisattvas spoke. So the Buddha filled the alms bowls with fragrant rice for the manifested bodhisattva. And at that time, 9 million bodhisattvas underneath the Buddha of accumulated fragrances all spoke that they're willing to come to the Saha world to make offerings to Sakyamuni Buddha. So one manifested bodhisattva went, and in response, the Buddha of accumulated fragrances and all the bodhisattvas, the 9 million bodhisattvas below him, all came to the Saha world. And they want to meet the Vimalakirti and all the bodhisattvas in the Saha world. And then the Buddha of accumulated fragrances said, okay, let's go together. But you have to pay attention when you go. So retract your fragrances on your body. The 9 million bodhisattvas, all of them are very fragrant, like not unlike people in the Saha world who are very stinky, foul smelling. So if you go there, your fragrance will fume the sentient beings there. So you need to eradicate the fragrance, your fragrances, so you don't exude any fragrance. And also forsake your appearance so that they don't feel self-conscious. So all the 9 million bodhisattvas below the Buddha of accumulated fragrances, they all have a huge appearance, as tall as the tall buildings. And then when they came to the Saha world, the arhats and bodhisattvas are very tiny. Or the heavenly beings are very tiny. So you need to change your form to become like those in the Saha world, so that the people in this country, in the Saha world, don't feel ashamed or self-conscious. So you change yourself to be the size as them and also eliminate their fragrance. So also don't look down upon them. Otherwise, you would have hindrances, or the others would also have hindrances, because all the Buddha verses in the 10 directions are just like emptiness. Buddhists would understand. Because all Buddha verses are manifested and illusory, just like the cosmic space. And also So all the Buddhas, in order to deliver or transform those with little spiritual roots, so for their sakes, you don't appear so pure. You're just like they are. So what it means here, just to be like them, like the beings in the Saha world. So at this time, the manifested bodhisattvas took the alms bowls, and with the 9 million bodhisattvas, by the power of the transcendent of Vimalakirti, immediately disappeared from that Buddhaverse and instantly arrived at the Vimalakirti's abode. Just with one thought, they have arrived. Why? Because the majestic transcendent power of the Buddha of accumulated fragrances and the power of the merit of Vimalakirti, they could swiftly disappear from the Buddhaverse of omnipotent fragrances and instantly appeared at the room of Vimalakirti. That was very fast. So fast, and I'm reading it so fast too. So at this time, Vimalakirti, all of a sudden, have the visit of 9 million bodhisattvas. But in that small room, he could house all of the universe. It could become huge. It can become big or small. That's what transcendent power is about. So he transformed his own room to become huge, humongous. And then he went to the Buddha of Sumeru to bring back 9 million Dharma thrones. But Vimalakirti transformed 9 million lion seeds. Like all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas filled his room. His room became bigger. That could house 9 million lion seeds, so that the 9 million Bodhisattvas have a seat to sit on. So he's truly incredible. We couldn't even manifest one seed, but he could. If you don't believe, then you would say, how could it be possible? 9 million lion seeds inside his room, and how big was his room? Think about it. And he could manifest instantly 9 million lion seeds, so that the bodhisattvas of the Buddha of accumulated fragrances have seats to sit on. Very magnificent. So all the bodhisattvas sat on them, on the 9 million lion seeds. So at this time, the manifested bodhisattva took the fragrant rice to Vimalakirti. The fragrance of the rice fills the Vaisali city and the 3,000 great thousand worlds. So the whole city of Vaisali and the 3,000 great thousand worlds could smell the fragrance. It's really delicious. That's why I drop a few grains on the ground and then a few grains on the box, and I lick them, eat them all. So at that time, the Brahmins at the Vaisali city and the lay practitioners could smell the fragrance and they're filled with joy and bliss like never before. When they smell the fragrance of the rice, they felt very, very, very pleased, like never before. So just the fragrance of the rice is like that. Oh, that's all for today. It's already over 11. So you can understand, right? It's not difficult. And just generally explain it earlier. A lady felt that her face is too big. So she went to the expert and asked, is there a way I can make my face smaller? And the expert said, how about garlics? So the young lady was confused. Oh, so garlics can burn fats and make the metabolism runs better? And no, because with garlics, that people will keep a distance and then your face looks smaller. In college, we have bunk beds. And then one day, there are two brothers who got an idea and said, let's exchange. So the one on top sleep at the bottom and the one at the bottom sleep at the top. They exchanged places on the bunk beds. And the next morning, the one who slept on top had bruises all over because last night, as he was going to the toilet, he forgot that he's on top. So he just stepped out and almost died falling. And then the one sleeping at the bottom bed, I was going to go to the bathroom and I couldn't find the stairs. So he just held his pee until morning. So that's a matter of habit. The girlfriend asked the boyfriend, are you having a cold? And the man said, how do you know? Is it because my voice is hoarse? And the girlfriend said, no. Because when you smoke, I saw the smoke coming out from only one nostril. Om Mani Padme Hum.